The old mansion loomed over the town. It was a specter of forgotten glory, a crumbling monument to a bygone era. Its once bright facade was now scarred and stained, the paint peeling like scabs from a wound. The windows, like vacant eyes, stared out blankly, boarded shut against the intruding gaze of the world. Nature itself seemed to recoil from the mansion as if repelled by an unseen force. The once meticulously manicured lawns had surrendered to a tangle of weeds and thorns. Trees, their branches gnarled and twisted, clawed at the walls like skeletal fingers. Their leaves rustled in the wind, whispering secrets that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen. Few dared to venture near the mansion, for its very name evoked a sense of unease, a primal fear that settled deep in the pit of their stomachs. It had stood empty for decades, its silence a deafening testament to the tragedies it had witnessed. The mansion was more than just an abandoned building, it was a vessel of sorrow, a repository of forgotten dreams and shattered hopes. The mansion on the hill was a haunting reminder of the impermanence of all things. It was a physical manifestation of decay and decline, a symbol of the relentless march of time and the inevitable surrender of even the grandest of structures to the unforgiving embrace of oblivion. The mansion on the hill was not just an architectural relic, it was a breeding ground for stories. Tales of its troubled past circulated through the town like wildfire, passed down from generation to generation. Each telling added a new layer of intrigue, a fresh coat of paint to the portrait of its sinister reputation. Some whispered of a wealthy widow, driven to madness by grief, who had taken her own life within the mansion's walls. They claimed that her tormented spirit still wandered the halls, searching for something she had lost in the throes of her despair. Others spoke of a family, wiped out by a mysterious illness, their cries for help forever echoing through the empty chambers. Children, their imaginations fueled by the whispers of their elders, spun tales of ghostly apparitions and disembodied voices. They dared each other to approach the mansion after dark, to test their courage against the unseen terrors that lurked within. But few were brave enough to accept the challenge, for even in the daylight, the mansion exuded an aura of menace that sent shivers down their spines. The stories surrounding the mansion were more than just idle gossip. They were a reflection of the town's deepest fears, its anxieties given shape and form. They served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that could lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic of communities. And so the mansion stood, a solitary sentinel guarding its secrets, its silence a canvas upon which the fears of the town were projected. Despite the chilling tales and ominous warnings, some remained skeptical. One such individual was a young man named Edward, a self-proclaimed rationalist who scoffed at the superstitions that held the town in its grip. Edward prided himself on his logic, his unwavering belief in the tangible world. To him, the mansion was nothing more than a dilapidated building, its eerie reputation merely a product of overactive imaginations. Edward saw the mansion as a challenge, an opportunity to disprove the myths that had plagued it for so long. He resolved to spend a night within its walls, to prove that the stories were nothing more than folklore, the whispers of a community clinging to the shadows of the past. Armed with only a flashlight and his unwavering skepticism, Edward approached the mansion as the sun began its descent. The air grew colder as he neared the building, the shadows lengthening like grasping fingers. A shiver ran down his spine, but he dismissed it as a trick of the fading light. He had no time for such irrational thoughts. He was determined to debunk the myth of the haunted mansion. With a deep breath, Edward pushed open the creaking gate and stepped onto the overgrown path. As he made his way towards the mansion, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that unseen eyes were tracking his every move. He paused, listening for any sound that might betray the presence of another living soul. But there was nothing, only the rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. The mansion's interior was a testament to its former grandeur, now shrouded in a thick layer of dust and decay. Cobwebs, spun by spiders who had long since abandoned their posts, hung like macabre decorations from every corner. The air was heavy with the scent of mildew and dampness, a testament to years of neglect. Edward's footsteps echoed through the empty halls, the only sound other than the creaking of the floorboards beneath his feet. He ran his hand along a dusty banister, his fingers tracing the outline of intricate carvings, now obscured by time and grime. The mansion was a tomb of memories, a mausoleum of forgotten lives. As Edward ventured deeper into the mansion, the shadows seemed to deepen, pressing in on him like unseen assailants. The silence was broken only by the occasional creak or groan of the aging structure, each sound sending a jolt of adrenaline through his system. He played his flashlight beam across the walls, his heart pounding in his chest, expecting at any moment to catch a glimpse of something he couldn't explain. He found himself in a grand ballroom, its once polished floor now covered in a thick layer of dust. A crystal chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its facets catching the faint light filtering in through the boarded-up windows. Edward could almost imagine the room as it once was, filled with music and laughter, the air alive with the energy of 100 conversations. But now it was a silent tomb, a hollow reminder of a time long past.